Fellas,
What do you do? What do you do?
what's going on, Nasty?
How's it going, Dirty?
Joe, appreciate you
I,
coming on with us, brother.
anytime. How you guys doing?
Good, man, good. Well, this is our first video, YouTube, so welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we have the Ultimate Fighter season finalist, current double champ, Joe Giannetti in the house today.
Let's
What's going
go.
on?
Nasty, this is a special episode for us, man, so I appreciate you coming on, Joe. If you want to, just introduce yourself, tell everybody kind of who you are.
What's going on? I'm Joe Skeletor Giannetti. If you haven't seen me before, I was on season 27 of The Ultimate Fighter, Stipe versus Daniel Cormier. I made it to the finale. I lost a split decision, and I've been fighting my way back to the UFC ever since. Now that we've got word that the UFC is coming to Boston in August, I'm hoping to get a quick dub in July and kind of, send my name to the top of the list to get on that card next.
Hell yeah, man. Well, me and Nick, we were actually talking about it right before you came on. We don't see a reason why you shouldn't be fighting on that Boston card, much less already have fought on a card. So we're a little confused on that, but we'll get your feedback on that a little bit. But yeah, we want to kind of jump right in. So currently, you have a 7-0 amateur record, but you're 14-4 professionally. One thing I want to highlight, you never been finished, man.
No, I mean it's a stat that I never thought I'd really care about, but it is pretty cool to say that nobody could put me away.
Nobody can put you away, but you have put a couple of people away. I mean, 13 finishes, combined finishes, TKOs and submissions. But it seems like you're more of a jiu-jitsu guy based on some of your past fights. And is that something that you kind of started in early?
Yeah, so I wrestled in high school, and I was atrocious at it. And then I knew I wanted to fight by like my junior year in high school. And then after I graduated, I did a wrestling camp. And then after that wrestling camp, I got into jiu-jitsu. And after like a month or so of that, I did like full MMA training. And yeah, it's just been like the easiest path to victory for me. So I stick to it.
Nice. Was that something that you kind of saw yourself when you first started? Did you ever see yourself getting to kind of the level you're at today, or was it something like you wanted to do in your spare time just to get some training in, and then it just kind of came a career move after that?
I didn't know if I would actually do it, but it was the plan all along. Like as soon as I said I was going to do it, I was like already told people like right to the top. And it was funny because, me and some of the kids I went to school with, like we were all UFC fans, so we would like watch The Ultimate Fighter on a Wednesday night, and then the next day at school talk about it. And then like one day I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fight in the UFC, and they're like, oh, you're gonna be in The Ultimate Fighter? Like, all right. We used to laugh about it. And then, being on the finale and like them coming out to the fights in Vegas, like, dude, we used to laugh about this in high school. And I'm like, I know.
That's fucking awesome. So how did that process kind of look? I know we were kind of curious. What did it kind of look like to get that? Did you get a call? Did you get like somebody reached out to you and said, hey, we want you to be a part of the Ultimate Fighter? What did that process kind of look like for you?
So they actually do just like any other movie or TV show. They kind of like do a casting call, but then, the spin on it, because it's reality show and it's fighting, is there's tryouts, So they invited anybody that fights at 145, 155, and 170 down to tryouts. And I fight at 55 and 170. So I was like, cool, I got double the chance. So I went down there, I did the tryouts, and then they're kind of like, all right, so what weight class do you want to do? And I was like, well, I can do both. And they were like, well, you have to pick one. And I was like, 155. I was like, we'll stick with that one. And then at the end of tryouts, every stage they were cutting more and more guys, and we made it to the end. But there was still 3 weight classes, and every season there's only 2. So they got to the very end, and they were like, hey, welterweights, maybe next season. And I was like, oh my God, thank God I said 55.
Oh, wow. So they cut welterweight off the show completely.
Yeah,
Oh.
so it was 45ers and 55ers, and you didn't know until the very end of the tryouts. So I was like, we're all sitting there like, all right, well, we made it past everybody in our weight class, but which weight class are we keeping? And then they said, welterweight's got to go, and I was like, my heart sank. I was like, I almost wrote 170 on that damn paper.
That's crazy. What was the feeling like knowing that not only you, but you were going into what was called the Ultimate Fighter undefeated? So everyone around you was also undefeated fighters as well. Did you kind of have like that little bit of motivation, like I'm undefeated and I'm going to be going against everyone else that's undefeated too? Or were you kind of like, oh shit, everybody else here is just as good, if not better, than I am. What was the feeling behind that?
I was kind of just curious, because people say it all the time. Like, there's different types of undefeated fighters. There's guys that fight like the killer's row and they're undefeated, and then there's guys that fight nobodies and they're undefeated. But they're
Habib.
not the same fighter. Exactly. They're different. And you got a guy like Habib who now was fighting like top of the guys in the UFC, 29-0, and then you have these random guys in the local scene. So to me, I was just curious, like, which guy am I? So my whole thing was like, all right, when we get there, I'm just gonna outwork everybody, and then we're all gonna find out which guy I am.
Well, clearly that worked out in your favor up until the finale, because you went in and you showed dominance quickly. I know one of the fights, I believe it was your second fight in, you had a very brutal choke submission finish, which was fucking awesome to watch. I mean, it went unconscious and you just let go of it and he just laid there, and I was just like, that was badass. And then after that moment, that was what put you into the finale. Is that right?
So actually, my first fight was the guillotine. That was
first fight,
17
okay.
seconds, but it was kind of like it was just the perfect way to start off the competition for me and my team. Everybody got so hyped because it was just like we were all thinking about was like, who's gonna be the first fight? Who's gonna be the first fight? Then they picked me, and I already knew a bunch of people didn't think I was that good, and I knew like stylistically I was gonna catch him in that choke. I didn't think he was gonna tap, and when he did go out, I thought he was defending. I didn't think he was out. So like when it was over, like I celebrated, but then like everybody else went crazy, and then there was like a moment where we all were kind of like, "It's over." Like we were all just so hyped up, and it's already over. And then it was like, "All right, on to the next fight," and I was like, "Damn."
And Nasty, I know you had a question about that fight.
Dude, you caught him pretty good when it first started too. You connected with a good punch, and he came running in. I'm like, you're running against the wrong motherfucker.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. It was funny because that was one of the things about DC's team is he asked, he's like, "What's your game plan? What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to crack him early and then grab him in a guillotine." And then it happened, and we went in the locker room. We went in the locker room, and he was like, "That's what you said you were gonna do." I was like, "I know, and it actually happened."
That's insane.
That's crazy. So what was the experience like working with a guy like Daniel Cormier? One of the best wrestlers to ever step foot in the octagon. Did the training behind that, did it kind of like help you in that where you're at now? Do you feel like you cherish those moments that you learned from him?
Oh, 100%. It was like for my career the best things ever, but as an average human being, it was the most miserable times of my life because everybody's always like, "How cool was it to meet DC?" I was like, "It was great until he started practice, and then practice was so hard, you get over it so fast."
Yeah.
Like the next day, the second day, there was no like, "Oh my God, I'm training with DC." It was already like, "Sup, coach?" Because you're just dead tired. And I think that's another reason our team was pretty successful. Like it was just work, work, work. And at some point in the competition, Stipe decided to take out his team for dinner, like a nice steak dinner at a restaurant, like rented out a place. And we're all like, DC, when are we getting dinner? Like I could go for a steak dinner. And he was like, "You want a steak dinner or you want to be in the UFC?" And we were like, "All right, you got that."
Damn it, DC.
I was like, you got a point there.
That's funny. I mean, he has that. He's an ex-wrestler. So, I mean, if anybody and everybody will tell you, if you wrestled at all in your life, the most brutal training of all time is stepping foot into a wrestling room. I mean, me and him know at first experience, we did it for many years ourselves, and there's nothing like a wrestling practice. So I can 100% believe you when you say that it was brutal training under DC.
It was so tough. I'm actually heading out to California in the next week or so to get more work in with him and the wrestlers, and I'm looking forward to it because I know how great I'll perform in my fight, but I'm not looking forward to it because I know how hard it's gonna be.
Yes.
That's funny. So now you get through the Ultimate Fighter, you get to the finale, you lose by split decision. Now you're back in Cage Titan where you've begun almost your second career, and now you've earned two belts, the welterweight and the lightweight belt. Which weight class do you feel is your most comfortable currently?
I feel great at 170. I just know that I'm not top 10 in the world at 170, and I'm not in the physical place to be there yet. I think one day, but I do think I have a couple more years left at 155. So I do have a run in that weight class in me, and then in a couple of years we'll take some time off, we'll bulk up the proper way, and then we'll make a run at 170 too.
So you feel like now, I know in the past there's been some discussions about missing weights and things like that. Do you feel like 150, being that you're still comfortable at 155, do you feel like that weight loss is, becoming strenuous, or do you feel like it's been pretty easy here recently to stay and maintain at 155?
It's been pretty easy. I think the biggest thing is just a matter of like getting it down to a science, which I have as of late, and then just making sure that I follow that to a T. My last fight fell through because my body kind of didn't follow through with me. I had a stomach ulcer, a staph infection, and my body kind of shut down like right in front of the finish line of the weight cut. But other than that, like the fight camp and the weight cut like was perfect. It was flawless. I missed some time training because I had a staph infection in the middle of camp, but I was like, oh, I'm 2 pounds heavier, is what it is. Like I'll cut that too. And then the weight was falling off, and then my body was just like, nope, we're done. So it's just one of those things of like, I know. Like I said, I was a couple pounds heavier than I wanted to be. It wasn't like I was super stressed about it, but I know if I'm at this number the week of the fight, I'm making weight all day. So it's just about like aiming for that number and being fully hydrated, super healthy, not depleted. And then that week we can focus on cutting back the water and everything. And I know I'll make it every time.
Gotcha. That's what's up, man. So currently you're on that 5-fight winning streak right now. Coming up to this newly booked, did this get recently booked like last week? Because I know I've seen an announcement.
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. So you got an upcoming July 22nd fight. Will this be for the lightweight belt?
Yes. So this will be a rematch for the lightweight belt. The first time, if you guys haven't seen the post, the first time that me and Jacob Bone, my opponent, fought, I missed weight. And I offered him an immediate rematch if he even wanted to fight. Like if you still want the fight, you get an immediate rematch. And here's my show money. Like take the whole thing. We get paid to show up and make weight, which I did not do. So I was like, take that immediate rematch. It's all yours. Is what it is. We fought. I TKO'd him in the third or fourth, I forget. And he declined the immediate rematch, and we've both fought a couple times since. And he just beat a teammate of mine on Saturday. So I'm like, and if there was ever a time, it's time.
That's what's up. So did his team kind of reach out to you and was like, hey, we wanna go at it, or how did that fight get set up?
I asked for him as soon as his hand got raised. I texted the promoter and I was like, that's who I want in July. I was like, I want that one back. My teammate Zach, he's another top 10 lightweight in the area, lost by a decision. He did end up getting transported to the hospital, exhaustion, concussion. It's a fight. But, it's one of those things where it's like me and Bone don't have anything super personal. But, at the same time, I can't watch my friend go to a hospital on a stretcher and then be cool with you. So it's like after the fight, we'll shake hands again. But it's very much personal until that point.
I love that. Damn right. You'll get us hyped up real quick. You start talking about stuff like that. That's what's up. So it'll be for the lightweight belt. Say you win that. Hypothetically, you win that. Obviously, I think the Boston card will be before that. So
it's a couple weeks after that.
Oh, it is. That's in August. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
So hypothetically speaking, you win that fight. What do you feel like are the odds that you could potentially get that call to come in if you win? Do you think there's enough time, or would you still see like, a couple months out of that if you do get that big win to finally get that chance to go back in and make a name for yourself in the UFC?
I'll tell you one thing. If I win that fight in the first round in impressive fashion, Dana White and the UFC are going to block me on every social media because I think everybody in New England and in the world is going to be tagging them to put me on that damn card. And I know plenty of my friends that are already planning on going. So if they're there and I'm not fighting, it's going to get real loud. So if Dana wants to enjoy his night, you better watch Cage Titan 60 and sign me after I win.
That would be awesome. And I think we'll definitely be watching the fight ourselves. So, Nasty, you got anything for him?
Well, I hope we get that first round finish, man. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, man, and it doesn't make any sense to me how you're not currently fighting in the UFC. I've seen people that you beat on that show that have got the dude you guillotine.
Yeah.
Was on a fight night, and to me, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I was wondering, what is your take on that? Like, why do you think this hasn't happened yet?
I think, and not to say like the UFC plays favorites, but I think that when I got on TUF, not like I was a feeder or like they signed me hoping someone else would beat me, but nobody like outside of New England knew who I was. Like I was just some kid that the producers of the TV show liked. They saw my fights, they liked my fights, and they put me on the show. But I don't think the UFC at that point in time was outwardly like, yo, we got to get this Joe Giannetti kid on a card. So then I kind of took him by storm, and then they were like, oh, wait, like we missed somebody here. And then, DC and Stipe fought the day after me. It was on International Fight Week, one of the biggest international fight weeks of all time. The co-main event for Israel Adesanya before he really blew up.
Yeah.
And the fight kind of shit the bed. I'm a fan first, fighter second. As a fan, it was a boring ass fight. As a fighter, I didn't perform nearly as well as I wanted to. So I just think that I did myself a service on TUF, building so much hype, and it came to this point where it was just about to peak and then just plummeted short. And Twitter was in flames. Like you would think I shot somebody's dog. Like John Wick was coming for me. Like I got some nasty DMs. I was like, damn, bro, I lost my job. I feel you.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, I think it was just a really bad performance, and they, I think very much just wanted me to prove myself, and I think that everything's just kind of working the way it needs to work, and that's kind of the approach that I took after COVID. During COVID there was no fights in my area, so I went out to LFA. I lost 2 more decisions, and I kind of redid everything. I switched gyms at home. I started making sure all my fight camps are at AKA in California. Which is much more expensive and makes things harder. But as you can see in my last 5 fights, my performances are much, much better, more diverse. And I think that, my mentality of just like, I'm just going to do what I got to do. And when it happens, it happens. I think right now it just seems like Boston is going to be when it happens. Do I know that for a fact? No, but it'd be a perfect fairy tale ending or beginning, I should say.
It really would. And I just, Boston's not in a good mood right now in general after last night.
No, we are not. We need a hero right now.
Yeah. And that'd be great to watch, man. We were actually looking over like the current roster in the UFC. I'm like, well, this guy definitely needs a shot. And me and Joel were like, dude, what's the perfect fight that we could give him, man? If we could just pick one right now. Dirty Bird, you can tell him what's up.
So I'm a big fan favorite of Jalen Turner.
Okay.
So y'all's stylistically, like the way y'all fight, that's a fight in the future that I would love to see. Because
that fight will probably happen. I have offered to step in for him before when he's had opponents fall through.
I love that.
Yeah. He's good, man. He's good. He's a huge lightweight. I've watched him for years. I am down for that fight.
So that's one fight I would love to see. But I also want to talk about this. And I know I've seen a couple of your interviews, and a lot of people always bring it up. Fatty Patty loves to talk his shit. I'm not a big fan. So I just kind of want to hear. I know you guys were set up to fight a while back, and then the missed weight thing happened. But he kept kind of running his mouth a little bit afterwards. I know you called him out. Is that something you would love to just get in and fucking get in there and eat?
And it's becoming one of those things where like I think a lot of guys in the UFC underestimate his social media game. The guy keeps receipts. I'm also the same. I keep receipts. You got guys like Matt Favola calling him out.
Oh yeah.
And then Patty kind of roasted him by posting that video of Matt Favola like fangirling at the PI. And I was like, damn, he kind of got you. Like you really can't call him out again after that. So it's like a lot of these guys are calling him out because they know like he's the payday, he's the big draw, he's the fight. Yeah, I'm gonna get paid the same if I fight Patty or not. I just want to get my hands on him. Like, I'm not getting pay-per-view points if I fight Patty. My purse doesn't go up if I fight Patty. Will more people watch the fight? Sure, but that doesn't immediately put money in my pockets. I'm gonna get paid the same. I just want to beat the dude's ass. Simple as that. Like I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid either way, same amount. So it's like it's not for clout. It's not for extra money. I just want to get my hands on him because we had our thing and. We said that we were going to be cool until the fight eventually happened in the UFC, and then he went back to Twitter fingers, and that's just not how it works in America. It's not the UK, so we gotta put that to rest.
Damn right. And if you did, I mean, the whole world kind of saw his last fight, so I think we're all under the same impression of.
I think the world now sees what I saw years ago. That's why I took that fight on such short notice.
Yeah.
When I originally took that fight, it was very much he's a big name, he's a draw, he'll get me where I want to go, and he's not that good. Now I think people are starting to see that. I still think he's in that. I think he's a little older than me, like 28. Like he still has a bunch of potential, but unless he improves, he's gonna fall hard.
For sure.
Big
So
time, man.
you're still young. I mean, you have still, a hell of a future left in you. Do you have anybody that you kind of want to credit your success to, or anything, or anybody that kind of helped pave your way into fighting?
I mean, the biggest one is like my high school wrestling coach, Justin Burrell.
Okay.
He's been in my corner every single fight since I started fighting right after high school. But yeah, everybody in the last few years has been helping me out. I'm at BTT Taunton over here in Massachusetts. I go do my fight camps in California at American Kickboxing Academy. I'll stay at DC's Wrestling Academy. And like I'll tell you what, like those guys, like DC's a huge part. All the guys at AKA, Javier Mendez, even like Habib, Cain Velasquez, everybody. Like
Yeah.
I have, other than being a body in the room and being friends with the guys, I have nothing to offer any of them. I have no money. I have no clout. I've got nothing, and they more than welcomed me to their gyms. Like
Love that.
DC, like I was a part of his team, but it's like I lost the finale. I have no clout to offer you as like a coach if I fight a couple times locally and win. But he's always been in touch with me. What do you need? Come out and train. Like you need to work on this. You need to work on that. He got me to AKA. Same thing. They're like, you need this, this, and this. Skip this training session to go do that instead. Do this, that. Like I said, nothing that's really going to benefit them in the immediate future, and they consistently always have my back. Even for like a year and a half before and during COVID, where I wasn't really going out there as much, they were always checking in. When's the next fight? When are you coming back? So all those guys, like I really appreciate them. Like I said, just genuinely trying to help me out.
That's amazing, man. And
It is.
AKA itself in a camp is just, dude, there's so much talent there. I bet you're soaking it in like fucking crazy, bro.
100%. And it's funny too, because I say it all the time. Like, there's a bunch of guys in that room that are like, dude, you're so good at this, this, and this. And then we go train and they whoop my ass. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm the worst one in the room every day, which I'm cool with. It gives me something to aim for. But they're always like, no, you're not the worst guy in the room. And I was like, I haven't won a round in like 6 months. What are you talking about?
I mean, your fighting style is it's pretty unique to a lot of people who fight right now, like the big names that you watch. You fight so wide stance, and it's almost like you set that back leg kick up a lot. But yeah, man, we've watched a few of your fights. We think you're more than deserved to get in there and get into a fight. Dana White, if you ever so listen to this podcast, get this dude on Boston's card. But yeah, man, any shout outs you want to give, any call outs you want to make, feel free to do it. I know you play games, you stream, you do other things on the side, which we all enjoy watching. So please feel free, let everybody know what you do outside of fighting.
Yeah, I got my opponent for July 22nd, so no more call-outs for now. That's a rule of mine. Once I have an opponent, unless you're coming at me, I'm not calling anybody else. There's already one guy I'm focused on. But, if you guys want to help support, I will have T-shirts on GiannettiMMA.com in a couple weeks. Sponsor space is available on the back. I put sponsors on my website, my fight shorts, my banner. Everything basically just helps me with all my expenses of getting to California, staying out there for a couple weeks, and then traveling back for my fight week. So if you or somebody has a small business that wants to sponsor me, I will do my best to help promote you and make it worth your while, because it's definitely worth my while. I appreciate all the help, even just sharing posts, stuff like that. Like, it's underestimated, not just me, but any fighter. If you want to support them, sharing their posts is so underestimated. It helps out a ton. But yeah, I do stream on Kick. I stream on twitch.tv /GiannettiMMA. I've been slacking the last few weeks. So I've been working like crazy. But in the next coming weeks during fight camp, I'll be back on the weekends. But yeah, no, just, I always say it, help your local fighters. Because if you want to see them in the UFC, it's the only way they're going to make it.
Love that, man. Love that. Well, yeah, everybody go support him. Nasty, you got anything before we wrap this up?
I mean, California's an expensive ass place, so please help my boy out, man. That shit.
For sure.
$28. No tip.
It's the only place that is more expensive than Massachusetts. So I go from the second most expensive state to train in the most expensive state, and I get out there every time, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, well, we're down in Georgia, man, and I didn't want to bring it up because I'm a Falcons fan, so I'm sure you could rip my soul right out of me, but we'll leave that in the past. because my love for Boston's probably not there, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But hey, Joe, man, we really appreciate you coming on board with us and sharing your story and telling everybody about us. Maybe later on in the year, once you get a couple things wrapped up, we can have you back on, talk a little bit more. But it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. Sorry I was a couple minutes late. My dog was being good, so he had to go for a quick walk.
Dude, you're chilling, man. You're chilling. But yeah, man, we're gonna wrap this up. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. We got fight nights this coming weekend. Kai France gonna be Ultimate Fighter tonight. So
Yes, sir.
pretty cool. We got you on the same day we get to get the return of McGregor. So let's see what it is.
Interesting.
So we'll see y'all next week, man. Appreciate it.